my whole life can't be centered around Hollywood, because then I become something else. And when I started in this industry and I started to started becoming very successful, I always knew I wanted to stay grounded. And I knew that, because if I become this big superstar, then when you come see my movies, you see, Taraji, the superstar. You don't see the character that I'm playing. And so if I remove myself from society and I put myself in a bubble and I have all these people around me, then I lose myself. And I can't play that regular woman who works 9 to 5. You won't feel it from me, because now I'm so above it all that you think I'm there and you're missing the message in the movie, because all you see is, look at her, Taraji, she's such a big star. You ever watched a movie like that where you see somebody and they're just such a big star, and it's just like, all I see is that person, I don't see the character. And I did that by looking at actors that I look up to. I did a movie called, what was that movie I did? Larry Crown, with Tom Hanks, who is one of the biggest international stars, American stars. And when I did that film, no security for him. He drove to set in a Prius, and he brought his own trailer.
Recently launched a foundation that tackles mental health issues.
Yes.
Can you explain a bit about the kind of work that you do and the impact that it has had so far?
So me and my son had suffered a couple traumatic experiences in our lives, and when it came time to get help, there was no help that looked like us. And especially for my son, becoming a young black man whose father was murdered and then his grandfather died 2 years after that, he's becoming a young black man. He's seeing the rose-colored glasses are coming off, and he's seeing the world is going to be very different for him. And it was hard. And so when it was time to look for help, and I did find some help, and he wasn't comfortable enough, because when the person on the opposite side of the sofa didn't look like him. And it isn't even about race. You just have to be culturally competent. If you don't know my struggle and I come in full of rage, black people have a lot to be angry about. Have you taken a history class? You know what I mean? And so a lot of times we get misdiagnosed because people are culturally incompetent, and you want to give me a pill for my rage. I don't need a pill. I need you to hear me, and I need you to give me active exercises to do to get me out of my head when I go into this space. But you have to be culturally competent to do that. And so when it came time to look, I was getting frustrated because it was hard to find. So I spoke to my best friend of over 30 years, since the 7th grade. I was talking to her about it. She herself has suffered from anxiety and depression that runs in her family. And we started talking about it, and we started doing research. And I was like, geez, out of all of the degrees that are given in the mental health or psychiatrists or in that field, only a small percentage have been given to black people. There's a problem. So then I started thinking, why is that? Because it's taboo in our community. We are taught to pray it away. We are told to, you're weak. Or we're demonized, and a lot of times we're misdiagnosed. So we have trust issues across the board when it comes to that. And it's sad. At least let's talk about it. We don't talk about it. So that is what I'm noticing. More people are coming out of the woodworks. And it's not that foundations didn't exist and people weren't out there doing this kind of work. It's just that you didn't have anybody like myself. See, because I think people get it confused. They think, her dreams have come true and she's rich and everything is great in her life, so she doesn't have any issues. Well, you got to remember, when they yell cut or that's a wrap, I go back to my life. And my life is very real, just like everybody else's. Just because you have money doesn't make it all go away. Money fixes nothing. I know people who are filthy rich and who are the most miserable people in the world. Look at our government.
Amen.
I'm going to let that just sit there for a second. Did I answer everything? What am I trying to do? 3 things. Get more kids involved and interested in the field. So that's scholarships. We're dealing with recidivism in prison, and we're also dealing with getting therapists in schools, in the urban schools where these kids are coming to school every day, leaving traumatic experiences in their neighborhood, and then they got to come to school and learn. And you get a lot of kids that's just like, they're not learning because of the experiences that they have dealt with the night before or the week, or somebody got shot. They saw somebody get shot. You know, they need help. These kids don't have the help. They need it. And I found that if you catch if you catch the children when they're young, you're going to save them when they get older. We're trying to save generations.